Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Van Holtz here, back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all's going well on the other side of the Internet. I've got a friend of mine, Ari Baga, on the other end of the line. We actually kind of exchanged some podcasts. So if you listen to his podcast show, you'll hear me on the other end of the podcast mic. But this time we get to turn the microphones around and we get to talk about what he's building over at ConverseSmart and maybe some interesting things to do with text marketing. What's going on at ConverseSmart, man? Tell me.
Yeah, first of all, super excited to be here. Almost end of 2020. What a time to be alive. This is the best time to be alive, in my opinion. So super excited to be on the podcast. And lots of things are going on at ConverseSmart. Our team is growing. We're helping a lot of direct-to-consumer brands get set up for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Honestly, last year, Black Friday, Cyber Monday was one of my favorite times of the year because a lot of our brands were finding a lot of success. So we're just gearing up for that, getting all of our teams ready for all the campaigns that we're going to be running. So that's kind of what we're up to right now, as well as trying to make the best out of these times with lockdowns and everything. So yeah.
So I agree with you. First of all, there's never been a better time to be alive than right now, despite all the challenges that face us around the world. It's pretty great, like the things you can do on a smartphone and computer and travel, if you're willing to travel. It's generally pretty good. So I share that positive optimism. You guys, you kind of blow my mind. Like, when did you guys launch?
Yeah, we launched early 2018. And I was always doing agency stuff, but we haven't really officially launched. I haven't started to build a team yet, or just kind of me doing consulting, etc. But we officially launched mid 2018.
Yeah, and you've grown. Last week chatted a couple of months ago. Your team was what, like 35 team members, or?
No, we're close to 20 team members. I wish we were 35.
20 in 2 years still blows my mind. We're still at 15 here at Beard Brand. So how have you been able to grow the business?
Yeah, I think it was first realizing that in order for us to grow, I'll have to hire people. When I was doing everything, I was just asking myself, how are people growing the company if they're doing all the work? Because working alone in the agency basically means you're wearing all the hats, right? You're the salesperson, you're doing the implementation, you're doing everything else. And I was just trying to figure out how am I going to grow this if I'm still doing all these things? So it just took a lot of courage to decide to hire somebody, not like a contractor or something, hiring someone full-time. So I know that I was really serious about growing it. If you have a contractor, then it's really no risk. It's okay, I can use this person sometime and I can cut them off if I need them. But if you have someone full-time, then it's okay, you got to make this work. So I decided to start hiring people full-time and then just figure it out. And I quickly realized actually hiring people is pretty cool because now I don't have to do all the stuff that I really don't want to do. So I just kept on hiring more and more people to take on more responsibilities and help our clients. And I was more focused on actually growing the company. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs talk about working on the business, not in the business. So I think that was the mindset shift that happened that helped me to start growing.
Yeah. So are you guys a bootstrap company or are you backed by investors?
No, it's completely bootstrap.
Yeah. So taking that risk in the early days, I would imagine is a pretty stressful environment. Is this your first business or do you have previous success?
There was a smaller agency that I was working with one of my friends. We worked on it for 6 months, but it wasn't really successful. But he started it and I just joined him later on for a couple months and things didn't really work out. But this is my very first business.
Okay. Is your business more of an agency or is it more of a tool for clients to be able to execute on their own?
We're a marketing agency, and I think like we don't have any tools. We just partner with tools. I didn't really want to go that route of building a product and raising money and all that stuff. So I decided to why not just be an agency that just implements for businesses. Obviously, a lot of businesses in the e-commerce space use agencies, so I thought it would be much at least when we started to do the implementation for them instead of trying to build a product, because there's a lot of products coming out and didn't really want to get in that space. Whereas when we started doing only like, let's say messenger marketing or text marketing, we were like one of the only agencies doing it. So there was like rarely like anyone that you can meet that was doing the same thing that we're doing. So that was kind of why I decided to go the agency route. I'm definitely probably going to get more into the brand side. That's something that I've been really excited about. I had my own Shopify store when I was like 17 or 18. That's when I really got into e-commerce. So it was always in the back of my mind that eventually I'm going to get back on the brand side as well.
So what do you see working for brands in the SMS field today?
First things first, in order for someone to even like do text marketing, I usually like to talk about why they should do it, because there's still a lot of people, like you can meet two different marketers right now and one of them is going to say, hey, I really like text marketing. And another person is going to say like, oh, I'll never do text marketing. It's very like invasive. Like I would never imagine a brand sending me a text message. Yeah. So there's definitely two types of people in the space right now. So when it comes to text marketing, what you need to first realize is that the attention is on a mobile phone. Almost every person, every adult in the US has a smartphone. They can be reached via text. And when we communicate with friends, family, coworkers, we use messaging apps, right? That's the primary way that we communicate. And because we have so much attention on the mobile device, it just makes sense for brands to reach their customers via the text channel. And today, all of the features that you have over email can also be implemented on text, from campaigns to automated flows, you name it, you can do it via text too. When it comes to text marketing, I think a lot of brands are thinking about how can we implement the same thing that we've done over email on text. Although that's possible, if you want to use text marketing as a channel to have a one-to-one conversation with our customers. And also that's because like that's how text is used, right? It's having a one-to-one conversation with a friend or a family member or even coworkers or whoever it is, right? So we want to treat text messaging as meant to be used. So that's one of the reasons why you should use text marketing, right? A lot of customers are already using text to communicate. A lot of them are open to signing up. We recently did a 2020 DTC State of Text Marketing report, and we found out that over 75% of consumers have signed up to receive text messages in the past year alone through e-commerce sites. So a lot of people are already signed up. A lot of people are already predisposed to text messaging from presidential campaigns. If you look at like the current candidates, everybody is promoting their text number. Hey, text us. We'll send you more information. So a lot of people have already been receiving text messages. So it's not something really new. But for the e-commerce marketers, it's mostly new because it's now an integration with your e-commerce store and you can do some really amazing stuff. So once you get the idea that, okay, text is not going to be annoying to your customers if you do it right, if you write the right copy, use creative, etc., then some of the things that we've seen worked was really first acquiring those subscribers, right? Because if you don't have anybody on your list, it's really hard to do anything. So one of the first things that we've seen work is acquiring your subscribers list. And once you acquire your subscribers list, it's about crafting these messages. We typically like to do automated flows from a welcome series to introduce your brand to the customer. And then over the period of 14 days, you want to keep re-engaging them maybe every 4 days or so to come back to your website. You can send them like more product benefits, things around credibility, social proof, all these different things that you can send over to them to try to convince them to buy. And then in between, you have your weekly campaign. So let's say it's Black Friday coming up, you can send them your Black Friday deals. And text is a very responsive channel. I mean, we're talking about like 99% open rate and 20-30% click-through rates on average. So the messages that you send, your customers are going to get them and they're going to click. Most of them are going to click through. So we're looking at text as a channel that is performing well right now, but we're not looking at it as a channel to replace email. Email is still a solid channel, but text is meant to supplement your drop in email marketing performance, because in email, maybe if you send an email, you might get like 15-20% open and maybe 3-5% to click. But with text, you can see that there's a huge difference in reach. So that's kind of like what we're looking at text right now and how we're using it and how it's working for brands.
A couple things that you mentioned. So you've set up these flows, and I assume when you have a flow that's just, like 4 or 5 or 10, whatever it is, automated messages that go out based on certain qualifications or rules. How do you encourage that communication? Because when I think of a flow, I generally don't think of people replying to that. So how are the text messages like framed in a way that fosters that conversation?
So with text marketing, first of all, the way you get someone to opt in gets them to engage back with your brand. So let's say someone comes to your website and they put in their phone number, they're specifically opting in to receive text messages. And on desktop, you can get them to respond, like reply yes to confirm your subscription. So that gets them to engage back. So the next time you send them a text message, you're not really surprised because they've actually opted in. Compliance is a big thing when it comes to text marketing. So always making sure that you're fully compliant. And once you have that customer's phone number and they've double opted in, then when you send a follow-up text message, it's about engaging them in a way that gets them to come back to your website. And there's 2 ways to do it. First, a lot of customers are ready to buy, right? So that's why every time you send a text, you're going to generate revenue. So some people are ready to buy, they probably just forgot, or they're doing something and then something happened, right? And then they didn't make that purchase. So when you send another text message, you're probably ready to buy and they would click and buy. But for other people that need more nurturing, etc., you can send them like different flows that gets them to respond back with, let's say, like a keyword or something that they might be interested in. So, hey, thanks for coming to our brand name. We saw that you were browsing our website. Is there a product that you were interested in, product or collection? And then let's say they're interested in pens. When they respond that they're interested in that, you can send them more specific content around that. You can get them segmented on a different list. So you can do it 2 ways. The first part can be just engaging with your customers with great content. We like to use GIFs a lot because it gets their attention for a lot longer. We like to use social proof, show that there's hundreds of thousands of customers who are buying this product. Reviews are also great. So a lot of the people that are on your opt-in list will buy because in the first 14 days, they're most likely to buy right after they opt in, especially if you get them to opt in for a discount, they're more likely to buy. But for those who do not buy, you can get them to respond back with things that they might be interested in and then sending more targeted messages. And that's what we've seen work in terms of like getting people to engage back, getting those non-buyers turn into buyers.
So a couple of things I don't know about the technical details of SMSs, but is there character limitations or like how short do you need to keep your content?
Yeah, there's a character limit of 160, but you don't have to stick to 160 characters. Most texts that we send, we always go over to around 200, 250, because honestly, 160 is too short. So 250 or so is usually where we keep it at. If you have a text with a GIF, then with a GIF, you can have up to 1,600 characters, but you really don't need to write such a long paragraph. Most people aren't going to read it. So we typically like to keep it between 200 to 300 characters. And like I said, when you use creative, like a custom GIF showcasing the product or the promotion, then that also is another way to get the user's attention and provide more information without having it in the copy. So especially for product promotions, like showing other people wearing the products or like having the discount on the image usually works really well in getting that information across without having to write it in a text.
So the other thing you mentioned is like you can measure open rates. How does that work? Like, because I know with email, they drop like a little pixel that loads an image, but how does it work in text? You know?
Text, you can't measure the open rates, but as an industry, we just came to a conclusion that the average open rate is 99% because the average from the research that most platforms have done, they found out that 80% of text messages are opened within 90 seconds of being received, and all the other ones were opened probably like within like the remaining 24 hours. So it was through like data, but because like these text messages are going to like different messaging platforms, like the data is not reported, but as an industry, we typically like to go with 99%. And based on like the click-through rate that we can measure, we can really see that it's actually like pretty close.
Okay. And then like you've kind of broached on it a little bit, but what kind of tools do you guys work with? Do you have preferred platforms or services that you guys are using?
Yeah, there's a lot of different platforms that we've vetted. We've worked with multiple different platforms, but the top 3 ones that I would recommend would be there is Attentive. They have a great platform. This is more for like much bigger brands that are at scale and want to spend more. There's Postscript that's doing really well. They only work on Shopify Plus. So if you're on Shopify, they have a great integration to use. There's also Yapo. If you're doing reviews and UGC already, Yapo has a great platform to be able to do more conversational flows, like asking user questions and then having them respond back with like products that they're interested in, etc. So those are the top 3 ones that you can use. And honestly, you can't really go wrong with those 3. We've really used them extensively. Our agency is platform agnostic, so we really don't have one platform that really is like our favorite. But those are the top 3 ones that you can use today.
Okay. We're on a 4th one. Emotive is ours. And we went with Emotive because we do a lot of interactions with our customers. And we required them to like send an image back to us, which at the time, Postscript didn't have that ability. I think they may have that ability now, but you know, there are going to always be interesting ways that you can use text that maybe other companies aren't doing. So one thing that, you know, kind of along the same lines, we talked a little bit about this before the podcast, but you put your phone on Do Not Disturb. How do you make that work for you? Like just from like a productivity standpoint and staying connected. And you're one of those people that don't view your text, you know, within that first minute or whatever.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people. Like my news feeds on social media are all blocked. Like when I'm on social media, I don't see anything that anyone posts. And obviously sometimes I do check and see like what people that I follow are up to, but most of the time, like everything is blocked. But I think like me doing that was more like me taking control over my own time and trying to be less reactive and more active. And this is something that I talked to my team about. And the idea behind it was that like having all these notifications gets you to like react. So let's say like, and I see this happen all the time, like someone is sitting like on a chair, right? They have their phone vibrates, someone walking by hears it and they take out their phone out of their pocket thinking that it was their phone that vibrated. And that is because their mind was like trained to react to those sounds that, oh, maybe they got a notification, then their brain automatically says, oh, pick up your phone. So me turning off all my notification really got me to become less reactive to like my phone, like making a sound of a notification or just vibrating or anybody's phone doing that. Even when I turn my notifications on, if my phone vibrates, like I don't have the urge to like look at it or even like pick it up. I could get like a bunch of text messages and still not feel the need to read any of them. So it's kind of like becoming less reactive because like if you think about it too, it's kind of with like social media, there's like dopamine release every time you get a notification, you're excited. So it's kind of like turning off those reactions in my brain and becoming more active. Like I now have control over myself and I don't have to react to my phone giving me notification or getting a notification from Instagram. I told my team like a few weeks ago that we were chatting about it, and I was like, kind of gives you a lot of abilities internally that you might think is on a small scale, but it's actually on a bigger scale, because when you become more active, you have a lot more control over like what you decide to do or what thoughts come to your mind. Let's say you have thoughts on like, hey, I should do this, because you get thoughts popping up in your mind like, hey, I should check my phone, hey, I should do this. But when you become more active, you get to see, okay, like I have this thought, I'm trying to work, my phone vibrated, do I really want to look at my phone right now? So that gives you that control to not want to look at your phone.
Two-part question. When did you implement this process? And then what does your mom think about that?
So I implemented this probably, I would say at the end of 2018. And I don't think my mom knows. I typically don't even talk about it, but when I have people popping up their notifications, if it's like a friend that I'm hanging out with, and I tell them about it, if they ask me. On iPhone, there's this like do not disturb. You can put your phone on do not disturb in a certain period of time. So usually from like, I would say 10 p.m. to 5 p.m. the next day, my notifications are turned off. So after 5 p.m., like I can get notifications, but I don't even have notifications turned on for my app. So typically it will be just like iMessage notifications. My computer is always on do not disturb, no Slack notifications all the time. It's really hard to work if you have like Slack popping up every second. And I don't think most people know, but this is something that I've done for myself. But if people ask me like, hey, how do you like stay productive? I usually mention like, hey, the first thing that you should do is turn off all your notifications, get control of your time, and like get control of your brain's reactions and become more active.
Yeah, I tend to do similar things, and I find myself actually forgetting to reply to emails. Like I can go a whole day and completely forget that I had emails to check. The only challenge I would have is if my mom tries to call me and I don't pick up the phone.
Oh yeah, even if your phone is on do not disturb, you can have like specific people that can still like their notification can still go through.
Okay, so you've got a few select people who can get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, what kind of other productivity opportunities are you doing? Are you, because you seem like a productivity kind of guy, or am I wrong on that?
I don't really look at myself as a productivity guy. I look at myself as like someone who likes to like control like what I have in my mind. I don't want me just doing things just because they pop up in my head, because that's what happens when you become reactive. You're doing this, something pops up, and then your attention goes there. So you don't want your attention to be like divided everywhere, which is what these notifications do to you. So that's like the type of guy that I am. So yeah, other tips, I always recommend going on a social media fast for like 30 days. That's the first thing, right? In the day that we live in today, it's really impossible to go without social media. So the best way really is to go on a 30-day fast without logging into social media, and you kind of see that you become more active, like I talked about, and then turn off your notifications. So that then gives you that control to only go on social media when you really need to. I typically don't have any social media apps on my phone. I do have Instagram because sometimes after work, I just go on Instagram just to see what my friends are doing. But that's probably the only app that I have on my phone. That's another thing. Don't have like these apps on your phone. It makes it even easier to go on them. And on your computer, there's like apps that you can download that allow you to block your newsfeed. Like it's really easy to go on Twitter and Facebook, start scrolling, and next thing you know, you're like scrolling for like 30 minutes, an hour. So there's like extensions on Chrome that lets you block your newsfeed. So when you come in your newsfeed, like if you don't have anything to post, there's really nothing to see. And there's nothing that anyone is going to write that you probably haven't seen before either way. And this is really great if you're like into creating content, because like sometimes like if you want to tweet content, I like to do that like every day. So if I go on Twitter and then I start scrolling, then I forget that I was here to actually like put out content. Blocking the newsfeed allows me to like come on Twitter. There's no content. Everything is blocked. All I can do is actually post. So it actually pushes you to actually create content instead of consuming other people's content. So those are some of the hacks that I'm using. And honestly, they've become like a way of life. Yeah, I think they've been helping me a lot, not only personally, but with my business as well.
I feel like you and I probably share a similar outlook on that. About, what was it, mid-August, I got off of Instagram. I deleted the app from my phone. I call it, I de-zucked my phone. So I've got no Zuckerberg properties on my phone. I've been off Facebook since 2015. Of course, I still have an account if I need to pay bills or, check things here or there, but I'm not engaged on it. My quarterly goal is to get off of Reddit. So I haven't been on Reddit all quarter. And Twitter's kind of like my last remaining things. And generally, I do it the same way as you. Like, I'll log in, I'll post content, and then there's a few people who I really like to engage with. So I'll just go to their profiles and see what they're posting. And then I'll look at the notifications and see who's interacting with my content and kind of foster a few conversations from there. Because I think a big part of Twitter is that engagement as well, that conversation and interacting with people and building relationships, or at least on the Twitter direct to consumer D2C space or the e-commerce space. If you guys aren't on Twitter, I highly recommend it. It's been a great community for me to be able to interact and connect with people. But it's great to hear that I'm not a fellow person out there. I've gone so far as to my voicemail says, hey, just a heads up, I don't take unscheduled phone calls. So if you want to have access to my voice, then you've got to schedule it. Because I almost feel like it's same thing with like text messaging. It's a little presumptuous that I need to stop doing what I'm doing to serve you. I think that the person calling should be a little more understanding and respectful of the person they're reaching out to.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially with the phone calls, I try not to put my phone number anywhere because then people start calling you. I really don't like being on the phone either way. Maybe it's because I'm a Gen Z and I really don't like to talk on the phone. If someone wants to get a hold of me, just like text me or email me or something like that. But I know people who are like, they give their phone number to everybody and then they get calls randomly all the time. For me, I don't even have my voicemail set up. So typically, like, if I don't pick up, then that's it.
You can't even get a voicemail, huh? Wow, that's a pretty good idea. I wonder if I should do that.
Yeah, honestly, it's amazing. I haven't listened to a voicemail for probably 5 years or something.
Well, they'll transcribe them nowadays so you can read them. The only people who leave voicemails are spam bots, So now I'm just reading spam voice messages.
Spam sales emails.
Yeah, that's a really, because one of my recent tweets was like, I wonder if I can live without a phone number. Like, I wonder if that's possible in today's environment. The answer is probably no, but it got me thinking,
I wish there was a modern flip phone that doesn't have all these social media apps. So some people can call you, you can text on it, but that's it. But obviously, for the work that I do need the smartphone. And people have multiple screens of apps on their phone all the time. So that's another thing that I try to limit. But yeah, I'm usually more on the extreme. So it's much easier for me to cut these things out.
Yeah. Well, the thing I don't like about phone numbers is anyone can call it, right? Or anyone can put your phone number up. Whereas if no one could FaceTime me except for the people I'm connected with or, whatever messenger tool you're using. So you're able to reclaim your privacy and your own time by using tools that, aren't available for public to reach out to you. So I don't know. We went on a little bit of a tangent. So you mentioned Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? Where can people follow you?
Yeah, Twitter at Ari Bagah, ARRIBAGAH. Yeah, I'm in the DTC Twitter community, so I'm usually just posting content around DTC and stuff like that, text marketing, etc.
And then what else should our listeners do? Where else can they learn more about what you're building or how to connect with you guys?
Sure. Convertsmart.com, CONVERSMART.com. So that's my marketing agency. If you're interested in learning more about text marketing, we recently launched email. If you're doing Klaviyo email marketing, we're offering free email marketing audits. Just request a free consultation on our website. Honestly, I hate to be that guy who's always talking about how good they are, but my team is really, really good at these email marketing audits. Our creative team is amazing. Everything we create, our clients are always very amazed about the work. And when it comes to text marketing, everybody knows us as a text marketing agency. So if you really want to maximize text marketing, just also reach out to us and we'll be able to help you out.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks for coming by. sharing your expertise and sharing your experiences and sharing your productivity tips. I'm taking those with me. I'm going to implement a couple of them. Guys, this has been another e-commerce conversations. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Cheers and keep on growing.